Good afternoon, parents and families of District 95. We continue to develop and work on providing two options for the instructional models in the fall to provide the best opportunities for teaching and learning based on the limitations of our current situation. The purpose of this presentation today is to clarify some questions that the district received specifically about what the remote learning plan will look like in the two different models that are currently offered. Today, Jeff Tumpain, the middle school assistant principal, and I, Kathy Cannon, the director of teaching and learning, will walk through the hybrid models at both Brook Park and SE Gross, which include 2.5 hours of in-person learning and 2.5 hours of remote learning to be completed at home. We will also walk through the full remote model that some families have opted into, which is 5 hours of learning at home. Before walking through these two models, it's important to identify the difference between synchronous and asynchronous learning and what that will look like for our students. Asynchronous learning is when teachers prepare lessons and activities for students to complete on their own time at their own pace. This could be assigned through Google Classroom, a pre-recorded instructional video, or through online discussion boards. This is a more flexible option. Synchronous learning is when teachers and students are in a classroom setting or in a video conferencing environment together at a specific time, learning the same content. This could be done in a Zoom, it could occur with video conferencing, or any virtual classroom setting. This requires students to attend or participate in learning at a specific time. Some of the improvements and enhancements for the remote portion in both models are as follows. Teachers will provide synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities for all students. We will be focusing on the grade level standards and delivering new content in all courses. Grades will count. Feedback will be consistent and used to promote student growth and accountability. We will be using district programs to develop our lessons and instruction. STEM Scopes, Go Math, Big Ideas, and TCI are just a few examples. Social emotional learning will be embedded in remote learning lessons and meetings. The emphasis will be placed on building relationships and connectedness. Moby Max, new to the district, is a differentiated online platform to be used for enrichment options, to support some struggling learners, and a flexible option for all subjects that will also be available for all grade levels. Let's start with Brook Park grades K-5, and I'm going to walk through these models in more detail using a few sample schedules. The blended model is divided by AM and PM student groups, with half day in school and the other half day at home. The primary focus for the in-person learning will be on reading and math. The literacy will include whole group reading, phonics, word work, and writing. Math will be similar in both models, with mini lessons, workbook pages, individual manipulative kits, and assessments. The social emotional learning will take place 5 days a week through community circles, lessons, and various activities. The remote half of the hybrid model will include 2.5 hours of more independent lessons and activities for science and social studies. The goal will be to train and support students on how to access, utilize, and learn how to be more independent with remote learning activities through our time at school. Remote will include some pre-recorded videos of science and social studies instruction and assignments to support those lessons. The district is currently working on STEAM projects that will be incorporated into different grade level bands throughout the school year, which will be providing more engaging and hands-on opportunities for our at-home and in-person experiences. Specials will provide flexible options for student exercise and movement each day through PE activities. Teachers will rotate art and music to include opportunities for the arts that might include, but are not limited to, pre-recorded videos, choice menus, student submissions, and/or projects that students can work on at their own pace. Feedback and check-ins with teachers via Zoom will be intermittent and communicated through their daily schedules and assignments. Here is one sample schedule that I'd like to take a few minutes to walk through and highlight just a few things on it. You will notice there will be a consistent daily morning meeting to check in with students, to walk through daily expectations, to provide social emotional support through activities as a group, individually, to help develop those positive relationships. There's a mask break each day that will be staggered for the different grades to allow time for movement outside or in a safe place so students can take off their mask, take a brain break, which could include, but isn't limited to, sensory paths, socially distanced walks around the school, or physical activities to get some movement and allow for some space. The break and lunch is at home. You will see some examples of the time spent in remote that, in addition to the science and social studies and specials that I mentioned earlier, includes WIN. This is what I need time. That will be differentiated and individualized assignments to support or enrich students based on what it is that they need. Now I will walk through what the full remote option model will look like and include which is a more robust than what was offered in the spring based on the feedback and more time for us to plan. In the full remote option that consists of 5 hours of instruction and student assignments at home, you should expect the following. Whole group reading will be broken down into pre-recorded videos on assigned days. Students will be assigned daily independent reading activities to support the lessons that include but are not limited to vocabulary, word work, and/or phonics, which might be in a weekly packet for independent student work. Guided reading will be conducted a few times a week for scheduled small group Zoom meetings based on differentiated reading levels, books, and student needs. We will be providing at-home reading kits. This will include books, tools, and corresponding packets to support the learning from home. Writing, math, and science instruction will also include a format of pre-recorded video mini lessons, assignments, and differentiated ways of providing feedback on student work. The expectation will be to meet daily during scheduled times to provide instruction, time for whole group discussions, small group discussions, student check-ins, and to provide feedback. The schedules will be clearly communicated to students and will be a slow rollout to ensure more independence with the platform's resources and tools. Here's a sample schedule for what remote could look like in a full at-home model. A few highlights to make note of is that students will get literacy, math, science, and social studies instruction that will still offer flexibility through pre-recorded mini lessons and instruction. There will be a small group synchronous learning for guided reading instruction, which will take place in short Zoom meetings a few days a week. The math lesson format will be the same as the in-person with mini lessons, workbook pages, and support, but will be done remotely. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jeff Tumpain, who's going to walk through the SE Gross remote models schedules in the two models. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Kathy, and good afternoon to all of our District 95 families. Now let's take a look at two sample schedules for SEG students and talk through some of the logistics. First, we'll take a closer look at our students who are in the blended model. These are students who will either be in school in the morning and working from home in the afternoon, or students who will be working from home in the morning and in school in the afternoon. These students will have their ELA, math, and science instruction in school. Math and science will be 36-minute classes. ELA will remain a blocked class where students will work on both reading and writing with the same ELA teacher. This block is 72 minutes long. Students in the blended option will work on social studies and health from home. The teaching portion of these classes will happen in a flipped classroom model where students will watch a video of the teacher's overview and direct instruction. Then the student will have work time to complete the daily lesson or assignment. These classes will also hold synchronous class engagement sessions, which will be approximately 30 minutes in length. All students have the option to take Spanish and/or band. We asked in our initial intention survey for parents to indicate a student's interest. This can still be adjusted per parent request. In addition to band and Spanish, students have the option to work on enrichment activities or lessons daily. This path will provide a number of avenues for students to explore passions in the areas of art, STEAM, and music, just to name a few. Now let's take a look at a sample schedule of a student in the blended model. The example that we are looking at is for a student who is in school in the morning and working from home in the afternoon. You will notice that the student has 4 core classes in the morning. The student will stay with their cohort for the 4 classes. Our teachers will be transitioning to different classes while the classes remain in their assigned classroom. At 10:30, students will be dismissed from school. We encourage them to eat lunch and take a break prior to starting their afternoon classes. In the afternoon, students will have an assigned time to meet with either their health or social studies teacher, depending on the day. In addition, students will have work time to review the flipped classroom lesson and complete any assignments for social studies or health. Students will also have a significant portion of time to engage in Spanish, band, or enrichment lessons. Additionally, students can meet with the Spanish, band, and enrichment teachers during their afternoon work time. We believe this schedule provides structure for students while keeping students engaged in rigorous lessons. Now let's take a look at the logistics for our students who are in the full remote option. These students will have the same experience as our blended model students in the areas of social studies, health, band, Spanish, and enrichment. For ELA, math, and science, our fully remote students will engage in the flipped classroom model, where they will watch pre-recorded instructions and direct instruction from their teachers. Students will then have time to complete work assigned by the teacher. Students working remotely will also have built-in time daily to meet synchronously with their teachers and other peers working remotely in the same classes. Let's take a look at the example schedule for a student in the full remote model. You'll notice that the student has assigned synchronous engagement sessions with teachers and classmates. Additionally, there are periods of time labeled for work time, which will allow students to watch pre-recorded instructions and lessons from their teacher and spend time completing assignments. As previously mentioned, the social studies, PE, health, band, Spanish, and enrichment portions of the schedule have the same format for students who are on the full remote and the blended models. Please note that if SE Gross at some point in the year moves to a full remote model for all students, the schedule would most likely look different than the current model for the 13% of students who have opted for the full remote model in the middle school. We hope this provides some clarity for students and parents. Please feel free to reach out to Kathy or I with any questions, comments, or concerns. Thank you, and have a great day.